Hello, hello. This is Brooke Devard, and you're listening to the Naked Beauty Podcast. And you all are in for a treat because I am speaking to Beatrice Dixon. Now, if you don't know the name, Beatrice Dixon is the visionary founder who transformed a deeply personal health crisis into a cultural and commercial revolution. After suffering from bacterial vaginosis for 8 months, she had a dream where an ancestor gave her the formula to heal herself. The divine moment sparked the creation of the Honey Pot Company, the first Black-owned, plant-derived feminine care brand sold at major retailers nationwide. I didn't have the luxury of walking into a store and seeing a product that was made for me by someone who looked like me, Dixon once said, so I made it. Launched in 2014 with a single wash, the Honey Pot has grown into a multi-million-dollar empire available at Target, Whole Foods, Walmart, and more. Its success didn't just change shelves, it changed the conversation. Beatrice boldly built a brand that centers Black women, speaks openly about vaginal health, and refuses to compromise on clean, accessible ingredients. Vaginas aren't dirty, she has said. They are sacred. They deserve care, not shame. And care is exactly what Dixon has championed. She's created a safe space for feminine wellness that's honest, inclusive, and rooted in healing. With her recent $380 million deal, she didn't just sell a company, she cemented a legacy. I'm not here to play small, Dixon told one interviewer. I'm here to shift the culture. I am so excited to have this conversation with Beatrice today on Naked Beauty. Bea, I feel like we're talking at a very interesting week for people listening. I don't know when this is coming out, but Rode just got acquired for $1 billion by Elf. And I feel like there's a lot of conversation amongst Black founders specifically. And I'm just wondering, are you all on a group chat? Like, are you and Monique all talking about it? Is this something that is being talked about in your circles?
I've talked to it about some people, but I'm happy for her. The thing you have to understand is they were doing like $200 million in sales. So
$212 million in sales.
Yeah. So $1 billion valuation makes sense.
Yes.
It makes complete sense. And not only that, she had only made that online.
Right.
So when it comes to acquisitions and people acquiring your company, they need to be able to see what kind of meat is on the bone, right? Clearly, there's a lot of meat on the bone because she's only done that online. Right. So I think when people hear, not only that, beauty multiples are different, yes. Right? Like, I won't speak for Monique and Melvin, but I know in our space, we're looking at a lot of different multiples. We're in menstrual care. That multiple can be a 3 to 4x, or, just looking at your numbers. We're in cosmetic, vulva care and body care and things like that. Our multiples don't go as high as beauty does, right? Especially as tech beauty, right? So I think people have to understand the relativity of how these things work. And that's hard to know. Like if you've never done this, there's no way for you to know. But it makes sense that they got $1 billion. It would have been weird actually if she didn't get $1 billion valuation doing $212 million in sales in a couple years,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm happy to know though that there is that camaraderie between Black founders at your level, because there are so few Black founders who have done what you've been able to do. So I like to know that you all talk and communicate.
Thank you. No, I mean I'm not in a text conversation with Mo and Melvin. I have talked to a couple of my friends, some of my PE friends and just some of my friends about it. But at the end of the day, shit, I'm happy for her. You know what I mean? Anybody that can do $1 billion sell, I'm also happy for Huda, Yeah. I mean, these women are killing it, and it's good for us all.
It is. It is.
So, congratulations to them.
Yes. Well, I want to get into your early story. I know you are from Atlanta, and I feel like growing up in Atlanta, Georgia is just different. There's such a unique culture, so much community. What were you like growing up?
So I grew up as an adult in Atlanta.
Okay. Where were you as a young girl?
As a young girl, before 10, I lived in the DMV.
Okay.
And then after 10, we moved to Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Which is wildly different.
Very different.
Yeah. It was interesting. I went to Greenway High School. I was an okay student. I really wasn't like I was like a C student, if I'm honest with you. Like my mom was like, pass, you know, pass. And if you don't go to school, you got to get a job, like that was her energy. Like, it was like, because she knew me, and she knew that it's hard for me to do things if I'm not into it.
Mhm.
I've been that way since I was a kid. And so I don't know. I mean, it was cool. I lived in suburbia when we lived there, which I'm very much allergic to. I went to a predominantly white school. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that it's important, I think, as a young human being to be able to see yourself represented in the humans around you. I was in the Future Business Leaders of America, and I excelled at that. I was in the debate club. I excelled at that, like the things that I really was into. And it kind of makes sense that I
That's
excelled at
the
those
thing.
things because yeah.
It makes sense. Now, do you remember getting your first period?
I don't, if I'm fully honest with you. I do know, like, I can't give you the full on details, but I do know that my mommy was excited for me.
Okay.
And she made it exciting, like she made it a thing, you
Yeah.
know?
And were you
Yeah, but
given like a pad or a tampon? Like, do you remember learning how to use these things in the early years?
no, I mean, definitely not a tampon. I don't know. Well, did your mommy do tampons?
No, no.
Yeah,
With a
because like
pad. But I do remember because I was on the swim team. I remember I can't remember
oh,
when I got my period, but I was on the swim team, and I think
I was on swim team too.
okay, so
Yeah.
swim practice pretty soon after, I remember having to put a tampon in it and it being scary. Like, what
Yeah.
is this? How do I do it? I don't understand.
Now that you say that, but I wasn't on the swim team till much later. I think I was like, I don't know, like 15, 16. I entered into high school I want to say when I was 14. I entered into high school a little early.
Okay.
But when I first got my period, there was no way that my mom was letting me use a tampon. But I remember that she showed me how to put on a pad. Back then, you douched. So she told me, after I get my period, kind of towards the last few days, to do a douche so I can just rinse everything out.
Wow.
They didn't know no better. Then she introduced me to Norforms.
What is that?
So Norform is like it's like an herbal suppository. I wonder if they're still around, but it's an herbal suppository that you put inside, and it basically kind of cleanses you, or at least that's what we thought it did. But yeah, so she told me those things. Those things I remember, but I can't tell you how old I was. Like, maybe one of my ancestors is telling me I was 12. So maybe I was 12. I don't remember fully,
Mhm.
you know. But yeah, she made it beautiful.
I love that. I
Yeah.
also, in preparation for this interview, I was thinking about when I was learning to take care of my vulva, and I'm
Hmm.
wondering what you learned from the adults around you growing up. So we heard about the douche,
Yes.
even just, and also in my family, we used euphemisms. So we said private parts. I can remember my
Yeah.
grandmother would say pocketbook. She'd say, clean your
Yep.
pocketbook. Use the washcloth and get into your pocketbook. What did you
Yeah.
learn about taking care of your vulva growing up?
My mom she called it the cootie or the pootie scootie. It was cute. And she told me the same thing, you know, just to make sure that I wash it good. She really leaned in with wiping.
Mm,
I think when I was a kid, I had like certain types of vaginal issues. So I was always really sensitive. So I had to be hyper vigilant about taking care of myself. But yeah, I mean, she taught me about the douching. She taught me about the Norforms. I think there was a certain kind of soap, but I don't remember what it was. It definitely wasn't okay. So bad. No wonder my coochie was acting up. But yeah.
Well, I would love to get to, I know you speak about this dream that you had hearing from your ancestors to create
Yeah.
this product. Could you tell us that story?
Yeah. So I had bacterial vaginosis for almost a year. And it was reoccurring, and it would come every single month right after my period. And nothing that I did worked. like I lived on metronidazole or Flagyl, clindamycin. The doctors would kind of go back and forth between those because they didn't want my body to get used to any one of them, even though my body totally did. I lived on Google consistently, just trying different remedies and recipes and, like things like putting yogurt in a tampon applicator and freezing it, or, wrapping a piece of garlic with cheesecloth and then sewing a string on it. I mean, it was wild. I was doing all kinds of stuff. Hydrogen peroxide douches, herbal blend douches, and not like the douche you get at the store, but like the old school douche bag. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
I was taking all kinds of herbs. I was doing everything. Nothing worked. Nothing. The only thing that worked, and I'm not saying this recommending it, by the way, but I remember one of the main things that gave me relief was the hydrogen peroxide douche. And it was a very tiny amount of hydrogen peroxide. The rest was water. And partly the reason for that, when you think about it, it makes sense, is because the vagina makes hydrogen peroxide. And that's one of the things that helps you to create the good bacteria. And so, so I was trying everything. Again, do not recommend any of those things. Please don't do that stuff. Please, please, please. And, and it was just really rough because the BV I had it stunk really bad. I was the person in the bathroom that stunk up the bathroom. I was the person getting in a car. You could smell me in the car. I didn't know what to do, and there was a lot of shame associated with it because I knew that people could smell me, or and even if they couldn't, I felt like they could, because you can always smell yourself,
Right. I'm sure it made you very self-conscious.
It made me so self-conscious. And so one morning, my grandmother came to me. It wasn't a dream. I don't know what you would call it, but we were in a space together. Everything was white. Table was white. She was wearing white. I was wearing white. The light was white. It was beautiful. And she told me that she had been walking with me and she had been seeing me struggle and she knew what to do. And so she handed me this piece of paper and all it had on it was a list of ingredients. It looked like a grocery list,
Mm-hmm.
And she told me I needed to memorize what was on the paper. Well, I'm trying to talk to her because I've never met her before because she transitioned when my mother was very young, And she was like, Dave, I'm not here for that. And I can't be here long, right? Can't imagine what she had to do to get there, for us to be able to see. Our ancestors don't have to do much for us to hear them if you're really tapped in.
So I was going to ask you about that. I want to hear the rest of this, but just how do you get in tune with hearing these voices from the other side, from our ancestors?
That runs in my family.
Okay. You've always had this intuition, this ability to receive these messages.
Since I was 12.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, since I was 12. I think we all have it, but I think some of us are just more attuned to it and are open to. First of all, you have to be open to it, right? Second of all, I think you need to be tapped into yourself, but it's still not an easy thing to do because sometimes you think you're crazy. Like, am I really hearing that? Or you understand? Or am I making that up? Because sometimes it sounds like your own voice, or sometimes it sounds like somebody's whispering in your ear, or sometimes it feels like a telepathic message where you can just hear it, or see it. It's hard to explain. But yeah, and so she told me to start repeating the ingredients. And so that's what I did. I just kept repeating it. And then she would be like, again. And then finally she told me, wake up. Like she yelled it. And I popped up out of the bed. And as soon as I popped up, I woke up saying apple cider vinegar, lavender, rose, garlic, grapefruit seed. Like I remember it like it was yesterday. It's wild. Coconut oil. Like I remember it,
Wow.
And I wrote it down. I had just initiated into Santeria Lukumi at that time. And so my spirit was really open. I was just back. I was wearing all the white. I had shaved off all my hair. Like I had done everything, And so I kept up because I'm a dreamer. I dream a lot. And so So I wrote it down and I went to work that day. I worked at Whole Foods and Whole Body and I bought the stuff. I had BV at the time and I bought the stuff and I went home and I made myself a formula. And I didn't know what it was going to be,
Yeah.
you know, but I was open to figuring it out. And it turned out that it was a wash. She knew that I'd be able to figure it out because I had a background in pharmacy. I worked in IV rooms and chemo labs and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And so I started using it right away within a few days. The odor had completely gone and also the discharge. And the moment that I realized that, I was like, this is what I do now.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
And for you to take that and then scale it into the product it is today is really, I feel like you were meant to do the work that you're doing.
I definitely was. This is my life's work, part of it anyway.
Yes. Now,
Mhm.
is it true that you sold your early products at the Dr. Bronner's hair show in Atlanta?
Yes, that was
Yep.
our first show.
What was that like?
That was wild because it was a little nerve wracking because you don't know what to do or what to expect. I had worked in the natural foods industry, so I did have a little bit of an idea of how to be and speak at a conference, but it was crazy because whenever you do any kind of festival or hair show or any kind of event, you always got to get into your flow.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to say? How am I going to greet people? And then based on the energy of the people is your pitch, but you just refine it over time. But it was cool. We bought like a big banner. We were trying to figure out how to make the booth look nice, but on a budget. So we got like all the beautiful ingredients, coconuts and roses and grapefruits and garlic and all these beautiful things. And we set it up on the table. It was nice. It was nice.
I love that. In the early years, as you're building this company and scaling, one of the things I've heard you talk about is how your like stress and cortisol can affect pH balance. And I know so many
Yes.
people
And hormones.
and hormones. Yes. Could you share more
Mhm.
about that? Because I think a lot of people listening, they work hard. A lot of us overwork ourselves, and we're not conscious of what impact that has on our vaginal health.
Yeah. It has it on all of our health.
Mm,
Because the thing we have to remember is that, I think sometimes as human beings, we compartmentalize a problem to a space on our body.
mm,
So we have a headache. We're thinking that I think now people are more aware and awake and understand. But if you're having a headache, it's not just that you have a headache, you're probably dehydrated. Maybe you ate too much salt the day before, you're going to start your period. There's a myriad of reasons why that may be happening. And that's directly connected to something else.
mhm,
And so when you're thinking about cortisol levels, and how that can affect your hormones, and then how that can affect your blood sugar, and then how that can affect your pancreas and your insulin levels. And it's one system and it's like a domino effect. And if you aren't aware of it and on top of it, it is so easy for everything to go out of balance. And we're all overworked. We're all over 5G'd,
right.
EMF'd. We're all our eyes are constantly looking at this blue light. We're in spaces with invisible Wi-Fi. Like none of this stuff is normal. You understand what I'm saying?
Or how we've evolved, right? We haven't
Yeah, like
evolved to take in all of this. Yeah.
yeah, like our bodies are not set up because it's not just us. It's also all that stuff. It's the air we're breathing in our house. It's the skincare products we're using on our skin. The you know the things that the air fresheners that we're putting in our house to make the house smell good. It's like all that stuff
Mhm.
messes with us. And when you consider how many things you encounter that are poisonous per day, it's astounding. It would blow your mind. And so I think, how that relates to vaginal health is because it's one system, it's one thing, and some people can have all those things going on and be completely fine. And some people can have all those things going on and get reoccurring yeast infections, reoccurring UTIs, reoccurring BV. It just depends.
Yes. And even I would love for you to talk about the cotton cover in pads because not all pads are created equal. Not all tampons are created equal.
They're not. Yeah. In fact, most conventional pads don't have any cotton in them at all.
And that's right up, like if you think about the skin contact,
Mm-hmm.
you
And the
want,
vagina,
right.
yeah. Yeah. And the vagina being a mucous membrane that is moisture all the time. So whatever chemicals are in that, on whatever fabric, plastic, whatever you want to call it, whatever is on there is going into your body,
Yes.
right? We may not be able to see it or smell it, but it's happening, you know? And so making sure that you're using organic cotton cover, and I say cotton cover because pads aren't 100% cotton.
Right.
If they were, they wouldn't work that great, right?
Right.
They wouldn't absorb that great. There's many layers to it, but the thing that's touching your skin should be organic cotton. It shouldn't have like titanium dioxide in it. It shouldn't have, heavy chemicals in it. They still clean it with like a hydrogen peroxide solution because they need to clean it, right? But like it's so important that we're using organic cotton on and around and in our vagina during our cycle, because that's another place where we can be ingesting loads of chemicals.
Yes. And I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to run it by you. Those scented tampons, I'm assuming bad.
Yeah, mainly because they're artificial.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to any kind of tampon, you just want to be careful. You probably want that to be as clean as possible with nothing in it, you know?
Yeah.
But also, it's your vagina, so you can do what you want, you know?
True. That is
Yeah.
true. I mean, I think that you really speak about taking care of your whole self, your whole body. So I'm curious,
Mhm.
what rituals do you do to stay in alignment?
I do a lot. I don't know if I'm always in alignment, but I do a lot. I work out 3 to 4 days a week. I walk a lot.
What type of working out are we doing? Strength training?
I work out with a trainer, and we do a lot of like HIIT, cardio,
Yes.
strength training, weights, not like crazy heavy weights, but like,
Yes.
as humans with vaginas, we really need to be lifting weight, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. I
Um,
also work out with a trainer, and I always say it's the best money that I could
it
spend.
is. It is. It honestly is. It has transformed my body. In the last year, I've lost over 40 pounds. And I've got nearly 20 more to go, but I'm really happy with where my body is and how it feels. I do hyperbaric oxygen treatments. I actually have one at my house.
Okay, you have
I
a hyperbaric oxygen chamber at your
chamber
house.
at my house. Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
share more. How often do you use it? What effects do you feel?
So, oh my God, I miss it. It was broken down for a while. But when I'm like really good, I'll do it 1 to 2 times a week. And also, we've been like moving around and in between houses and all kinds of stuff. But when I'm really good, I do it once or twice a week. It's really great for after you work out because it helps with your recovery. It also helps with oxygenating your blood, which is necessary because it's hard for disease to live in oxygen in an oxygenated environment. I get chiropractic care, I get acupuncture, obviously massages. I drink basically nothing but water. I don't really drink anymore. I don't smoke weed anymore unless I'm like on vacation or something. But
So I love a sweet. Do you use
yeah.
sugar or no?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a person who's like anti-sugar,
I'm
you
happy to
know?
hear that. I'm happy because there are all the people who are
Yeah.
like, no, no
Nah,
alcohol,
sister.
no sugar. I'm like, I'm with you on the no
Nah.
alcohol, but the no
Nah.
sugar, I need
I
sugar.
mean, I don't eat a lot of sugar, but and normally I use like coconut sugar or agave or honey.
Okay,
Like I'm like you're not gonna find like regular sugar in my house.
right.
But like I just try to do everything that I can do. We have this thing called a Wi-Fi in our room, in our bedroom, and it helps to emit the EMF in the room,
Mm.
the electromagnetic frequencies. I keep like a little card with me in my wallet that does the same thing. I don't know, sister. I do a bunch of stuff, you
And
know?
your skin is so beautiful. I need to know
Thank
your skincare
you.
routine.
So is yours.
Thank you. But what
You
are you
know,
using?
you know what? I am so simple with my skin. I actually just made myself a turmeric face wash,
Ooh,
which
okay. What
actually
did
is
you
very easy to make.
tell us?
It's like a third of clean water, a third of like a coconut castile soap. So
Okay.
like not much.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to put in a big bottle, you want to put in a small bottle.
Right.
I did a third of aloe vera gel
Love.
and then a fourth of sesame seed oil.
Love sesame seed oil.
Yeah, and then I did like a teaspoon of just turmeric powder, and you just shake it up and use it, you know? But it's very easy to make. I think that, oh, and I also put honey in it.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Taking me
yeah,
back to going to Whole Foods actually and Whole Body and buying all of this stuff. I used to make my own cleansing oils and serums.
yeah,
I've fallen out of the habit because, you get used to just using skincare
yeah.
sent to you, but I need to get back into it.
Me too. I said that too, sister. I said that too. I was like, let me make myself something. I saw something on, you know how you're like scrolling the internet and it'll be like, I was on Pinterest and it'll serve you something and
Right.
something said like DIY turmeric face soap. And I was like,
Let
this
me do that.
sounds cute. Exactly.
Let
And
me do
I ordered the stuff. I went on Instacart and ordered the stuff. But yeah, I think another thing that's important to me is aesthetics.
Hmm.
Like at my house, it needs to smell how I need it to smell.
Hmm.
I need to see plants. I need to see beautiful design. I need cleanliness and order. That's huge for me. So I get my house cleaned a lot, like 5 days a week, you
Yeah,
know?
I like that you say you get it cleaned versus cleaning it yourself
No,
because
I couldn't do it. It would be impossible.
right, right. But it's
Yeah.
worth it to invest in that.
It's worth it. It's a part of my wellness. And I have a beautiful relationship with a beautiful man that I'm like best friends with, and that's really nice.
Do you
Like I
all
really like
do
him.
self-care things together? Like do baths together?
We do. We do. Oh, I do baths. I take a lot of baths.
Okay,
I
love
take a lot of baths, but my bathing thing is a ritual. I have to like shower, then take a bath, then take a shower again. Well,
it.
pee and then take a shower. But yeah, we do baths together. He's in school to be an industrial designer, so he's an artist, so he's pretty busy. We're both pretty busy.
Yeah.
So whenever we get a chance, we do self-care things together, but sometimes we don't, and that's okay. As long as we're doing it, that's what matters.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I want to go back to the moment where Honeypot has grown. You have a lot of
Yeah.
people that are interested in it. And I know you reportedly turned down a $450 million offer for a $380 million deal. I'm curious
Yeah.
what values guided that decision.
I just think that had we taken that deal, like it's no offense to the people behind it. It wouldn't have been a partnership.
Mm,
I don't want to focus on what it wouldn't have been. It just didn't, my intuition just told me that that wasn't it.
right.
And that maybe I would have sold a little bit of my soul and Honeypot's soul.
Mm,
And, I'm not really in the business of selling my soul. There's no value that can be put on that. So, it wasn't the right thing for us. That's just what it was.
how do you maintain control as a founder? You've scaled to 33,000 stores, but the
Yeah.
brand still feels true to you and true to the initial mission. How do you maintain that control as a founder?
I think that has to come from within. One of our values is actually that we have like a human first mindset. We really truly serve the humans that we serve. They come first, number one, before everything. It's like our customers, our team, you know, our retailers, and that's kind of the order that it goes in. Honeypot really has a soul. It has meaning. It was gifted to me from my ancestors. So it's like, it's not just a business. You know what I mean? And it is a business. It's through and through a business.
But it's not just a business.
It's not just a business. We also make products for humans' vaginas.
Mm-hmm.
And that should not be done lightly.
Yes.
That should be done well and with intentionality and respect and responsibility and meaning. And going back to the question you had before, That's why who we partnered with was extremely important. I think that Compass appreciated our leadership team. They appreciated our team overall. They wanted us to remain to grow the business because we didn't sell 100% of Honey Pot. I only sold half of my equity. And so we are very lucky that we have the opportunity to go back out to market in the future.
Yes.
To find the real true home of Honey Pot, and to be able to participate in that in an additional wealth event, that's a powerful thing, and so I just think that, like, who we're partnered with, who we serve, how we serve them, the products that we make, how we make them, the humans that work here, how we respect them and work with them, and they work, you know what I mean? Like, it's everything goes together.
Everything goes together. And I think what I hope as someone that, has been doing this for 8 years and talking to so many different founders is I always want Black founders to find homes for their products and brands so that they can grow and also relax and enjoy the fruits of their labor. I'm interested in this discussion. It seems that a lot of people don't believe that Black-owned brands should ever sell.
That's ridiculous because we have businesses. We are human beings. And it's very easy to say when you are a person who does not have a business, who has never run one, who has no idea what it takes, right? We are in business, yes, to serve humanity, but we are also in business to create wealth.
Yes.
Business is commerce. Commerce is money. It's interesting, like, what it takes. The 80 to 100-hour work weeks, the living on airplanes, the sleeping in hotels, the eating out, the being away from your family. People that don't believe that Black businesses should sell probably would not want to live a day in those types of shoes.
Absolutely.
Because it's not fair. Why is it okay for Dove to sell, right? Why is it okay for all these tech giants to sell? Why is it okay for Haley to sell? Why is it okay for Kylie Jenner to sell, but it's not okay for us to sell? Right. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. We should be happy for each other. This is what happens with businesses, right? Either you're going to sell, you're going to IPO, or you're going to stay a private company forever. And when you have investors, here's the other thing. There is no choice. And it's really hard to get a business to scale and to get a business to be a 9-figure business without having investors. And when you take venture capital money and private equity money and all these different types of money, how do you expect for them to get their money back? All the early investors who were before the venture capital and the private equity, how are they going to get their money back? What are they supposed to do? Just invest hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, just because it's cute and it's fun because we're Black? That's ridiculous.
No, and I think some of the criticism comes from this idea that the formulas will change once acquired.
Sister, formulas change all the time.
Right.
Formulas change all the time. Holding each other to these standards that are absolutely ridiculous because they're not. Look at every skincare product that you have in your kitchen, in your house, in your bathroom, that you've had for years, that your mom had, your grandma had. Do you know how many times those formulas change?
Sometimes every year the formulas change.
And nobody's going after them. Right. So for me, I don't mean any disrespect, but people can miss me with that shit because unless you're going to hold me to the same standard that you hold them, we're not having a conversation. And I'm sorry, I get really passionate about this, but like, we can't have a conversation because you don't have any respect for what it takes to do what we do every single day. And most of these companies that are conventional brands that have been doing this for many, many years, these companies are worth billions of dollars.
Right.
We turn something out of nothing and turn them into multi-hundred million or at least billion-dollar brands. That's something to be excited about. That's something that helps our race in the business world. It does. And I hate Race is just a construction. All these things are just a construction. Even those thoughts that we shouldn't do that is a construction. Nobody can tell me what I should do unless they walk in a day in my damn shoes. Do not tell me what I should and shouldn't do, because it's none of my business what you do in your life and with your business and with your work. And it's nobody's business what I do with mine.
Yes, I'm happy that you're saying it so plainly, because I think unfortunately people hold Black businesses to a different standard than all of the other businesses that they are happy to be a patron of. So I'm happy that you said it so plainly.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It is people's businesses what happens with our formulations. Look, we're not in control of what happens once we find an acquirer, once we find a partner, a home,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I would really hope that people can appreciate that what we've built, that we wouldn't just take honey pot to any place.
Yes.
We wouldn't just take it to any place. And if something has to change, because change is one of the gods, it's inevitable. It must happen. Change, death, and taxes. Those are not things that we are ever going to get away from, ever.
Yes.
Right?
No, very well said.
Things have to change, and things may change and they may not change. But if they do change, it's okay. And we should not be villainized as if we did something wrong, when sometimes you have to make a change because something an ingredient isn't available anymore, or sometimes it's hard to get, or sometimes new information or new data comes out about it, so you need to change that. There's reasons why things change, and people should, if you're not a business owner, if you're not in CPG, if you're not a formulator, it's really hard for you to wrap your mind around it. But don't walk in expecting negative intent.
Right.
And that's another thing we have to stop doing in our community, is moving from a negative point of view. How about we try to think abundantly and positively until proven otherwise? But if you look at the receipts, which you should always look at the receipts, that should communicate who we are and who these other businesses are. It's not good for us. It weakens us when we put that kind of energy towards these founders, and me included. Imagine how it feels for millions of people to be projecting negative energy based off of a lie because they heard it on the internet.
I can't even imagine.
Imagine being an empath and an intuitive, which we are all empathic in one way or another. Sometimes you walk into a room and you touch somebody and you feel a little off. That happens with all of us. Or you're just around certain people and the energy's weird and you're like, I think I'm gonna go, or this doesn't feel good. Imagine that times millions of people based off of something they read online, believing it.
So how do you handle that?
It's hard to handle, but I think you really have to just stay grounded in your truth, and you can't listen, you have to process how you feel. You have to process that energy, because energy is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
It happens to us all the time where we're thinking about somebody and then they call, or you've thought about somebody a week ago and then you randomly run into them and you haven't seen them in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
It happens to all of us.
Yes.
So that's the same type of energy that's happening when you're emitting that negative energy towards people who are literally just trying to live their lives, trying to run their companies, trying to be successful, trying to take care of their families for generations to come, right? What is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And so, I don't mean to belabor the point, but we have to do better. We have to be better to each other. We have to be.
What do you want this next generation of beauty and wellness founders to learn from your path?
To be steadfast, to be strong. And that sounds crazy, especially as just being a human with a vagina and then also being a human of color. Me saying to be strong is wild, but you have to be strong being a founder. You just have to be. You have to believe in yourself in a very religious way, even when you're not doing well. even if you've got all kinds of stuff going on, you can't waver from your belief in yourself and your belief in your team and your belief in your company and the products or services that you put out into the world. Also, to really work at it and take the time. You don't have to be in a rush.
I love that message. So many people
You know?
are in a rush and comparing themselves to other people's success.
Yeah.
They did it this quickly and they got this press already or they sold this much already. You really have to run your own race.
You have to. You got to stay in your own pocket, mind your business, drink your water, put your head down. Because most really successful businesses have been around for 10 plus years.
That is very true.
Yeah. So we just have to give ourselves grace. And not all of that is just coming from me and what I've learned. These are just lessons that I've learned in general over time.
Yeah. Bea, I could talk to you all day. I'm going to ask you one final question, which is, when do you feel most beautiful?
Ooh, that's a nice question. I feel most beautiful now, you know. I've been through a lot of stuff just in life as we all have. And I haven't always felt beautiful. I'm very confident when it comes to work, but I haven't always been very confident when it comes to me, which is very interesting to
Yeah, I
hear.
was going to say, because you're so beautiful.
Hey, no, I appreciate that, but that only matters if you see it.
True.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't that I saw myself and thought negative things, that I was ugly or what not beautiful or anything like that. But I just didn't really think anything. And if I'm honest with you, I'm still working on that. I'm always working on that, but I feel the most confident that I've ever felt in myself in that way. My confidence varies in different parts of my life. Yeah, I feel the most beautiful now because I'm really invested in my body and how it feels and my mind and rest and, all that stuff.
Good things, all the good things. All the things I'm going to be doing this summer. I need to get a hyperbaric chamber at home to get on your level. I
Look
really
into it, sister. There's a company called Oxyflow.
Okay.
And they're expensive. They can range anywhere from like $9,000 to $14,000. So they're expensive. But there's companies that you can get payment plans with.
Okay. I am going to look into this. You dropped a lot of knowledge in a very short hour together, but I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you so much
You
for
too,
being a
sister.
guest on Naked Beauty, and I'm sure our paths will cross again soon.
I'm sure they will. Thank you so much.
I've suffered setbacks, but now I'm making greenbacks. Just like baggy slacks, I'm crazy hip-hop. Check 1, 2, and you don't stop. Your head'll bop when I drop my crop of pure bomb. Just like the seashore, I'm calm.